Alrighty, we are live. Welcome guys. Let me just double check the sound here. I did build a little contraption here to bring my microphone a bit closer to my mouth so you don't have to rev it up all the way. I hope that works now a little bit better. Let's see. I'm also determined to get the music going while this works, but step by step. First, So I would say, as always, you can always leave any questions you might have that I try to answer. If I don't know, I'm still gonna tell you that I don't know, or you should ask someone that knows better than me, depending on the area. So one question already came in there from Joshua. I saw. We go into that then. So normally how I do those things, and we can in the future build them however you want. And I will also be doing them in Texas, so time-wise will be a different setup, might be a bit different. Of course, it's not the same room. I'll be in the US. So let me think a little bit. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we go through my training, as always, on Training Peaks through the last block. We are now, I don't know, days don't mean so much to me anymore, it's a bit confusing, but on the second, it's 18th of April, 18th of March right now. On the 2nd of April, I'm leaving to the US. I booked my flights, everything's checked in until the 30th of April, so a full month in the US, which I'm super excited about. First time I'm doing this, living my dream here and making it work. So excited for this one. But we still got a bit of work ahead before we taper down. So we got one more block of proper work. We're gonna go into my last block, what I did before, and all my sessions. I can say overall it's been going very, very good. So I'm happy with that. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. You got to be arriving at the start line healthy and fit, not burned out or anything like that. So all right, let's have a look at the training first, and then we go to some questions. All right, this got a bit smaller here, a little bit bigger so you can see it. See most of it. Okay, so let's have a look at my training. Seems a bit chaotic here. So I always do 10-day training blocks for most people that don't know. The reason why I did that is because I still want to have the quality in, but I want to make sure I don't drag along fatigue over week and week and week, but still train to the ability and training sections that I want to do. That helped now a lot for me. I've been now 3.5 months consistent, knock knock, together with the products I use from Cincino for immune system. That's a big one, not sponsored, but just sharing it. That helped massively. Omega oil and all those things set my immune system right, because that definitely wasn't normal immune system. But still, yeah, training, of course, is also one that you don't go over the edge. So, let's have a look at the training. Day one here is a Friday, so it really gets confusing with days for me, because Mondays don't mean anything anymore. That was a big downside even before I considered doing this whole 10-day block, because it is social life difficult, let's say, more difficult, but of course I still make it work and I always plan. But the normal weekend, let's say Saturday, Sunday, when my wife has off and she's in weekend mode, I might have my hardest sessions of the day. So it's a bit of the mixed things, right? So weekend doesn't exist anymore. But that's okay. It's anyway 7 days a week job that I took on here, 24 hours more or less, 24/7. But I go into that now. So 7 days. So the first one here with the swim, there was 4,300 meter swim, 8 times 50s, leaving on 1 minute. I did them at 30, 32 seconds. Then straight into 5 times 400 threshold, with 30-second rest only, and then again to the 50s, 8 times 50 fast, but there my arms fell off, so it was like 34 seconds or something. So I was happy with that, but there was something in my stroke that I learned basically, and I made a bit of a breakthrough in the meantime, only a few days ago actually on that side, after the video came out, after my last video that I did there with a swim where I took you guys with. I had quite a big of a breakthrough. We can go into that first, I would say, because, I talked in the video about that you need different gears in swimming, right? You need several gears probably, but if you keep it super easy, it's probably need 1 gear for easy swimming, 1 gear for aerobic swimming, 1 gear for threshold swimming, and 1 gear for fast swimming, which you can hold for like 50, 100 meter, 150, something like that, like all out kind of gear. those are all different mechanics swimming-wise, because swimming is mainly mechanics, right? It's not breathing and effort and fitness is first. That is the case for cycling and running. Of course, running has a ergonomics part as well, but yeah, if you run a lot, you're gonna get efficient at that automatically. Swimming, not the case. Of course, you can swim a lot and you will get better, but doesn't mean that when you swim a lot, you will become a very good swimmer. In terms of very good swimmer, what does that mean? In terms of pro triathlon world, let's say, not Olympic level Michael Phelps swimmer. That ship has sailed. That is obvious for everybody. That is in their 30s, but you can get to an elite triathlon level swimming, which is in terms of international high level swimming, not fast, because I have a 108 threshold, 107, the best guys for long course or short course, I'm not sure. And that is, of course, slow for being a real swimmer. So that's why I'm also confident I can get to this level. And I'm also very confident I could never get to the level of, let's say, elite swimming now. There's other factors at play, like your wingspan, like anatomical things. There's just, if your wingspan is not 220, I have 195. Yeah, 195 wingspan. So it's not bad per se, which of course helps. If you have a 170s wingspan, that's of course a different story. But if you want to be elite swimmer, yeah, I don't know, over 2 meters at least. And then the feel for the water. But that's another topic. Let's not get too lost here. So then I had, as always on the first days, I had also an aerobic run, sorry. I do that on a treadmill. Was it treadmill, this one? No, this was outside. So around the 4:30 pace, 4:30, 4:40 pace, that I'm like in zone 2, like the mid zone 2, low zone 2, not high zone 2, just a good aerobic run. That one, zone 2 running. Then I had the high-end bike, 5 minutes, 5 times 5 minutes. And there I was really happily surprised that I did a lot better than before. When I did it the week before, I mean, some of you guys that might have followed this on Instagram, I went into details about this whole stuff. What the physiology and physiologist I'm working with that helps me determine the intervals based on my physiology and why. Very interesting. Also going to stroke volume, not just this, it's a new way of measuring. It's not just what's your VO2 max and what's this and that, but it's also about stroke volume, which is a new area researchers. Very interesting. And there we saw my limiters, what those are. Because I always thought on the bike, for example, the limiter were, because it felt like that the limiter were the peripheral ones. So kind of what it means, kind of the peripheral means further away. So like the legs in this case, that they were kind of the muscular or something with blood flow. I felt I was like something wasn't right, but actually the limiter was the central one. So the heart and lungs, they were not strong enough to get to the level where I know I can get to. So now I'm doing the things kind of to work on stroke volume, cardiac output, and get my absolute VO2 max up. So there I was happy with, because I did for the first time, the one before I did 5 times 5 minutes. It's the main set, VO2 max with 2 minutes easy, so shorter rest, on purpose shorter. Before I always had 1-to-1 rest ratio, because I thought the limiter is muscular and peripheral. That's why I had 1-to-1 rest ratio, this classic one, because you think, okay, why would I have shorter rests in between? Because obviously your power is going to drop. So I thought, okay, the higher power, the maximum power I can get out for each of those 5 minutes. So some say even longer than 5 minutes, doesn't matter. Whatever the highest power possible, that would be correct in a sense if the peripheral would be the limiter. But for me, it's the central heart. So of course, if I take the rest shorter between my 5-minute VO2 max intervals, obviously there's higher stress for the heart. Watts might drop, which is again somewhat even okay, because it's not the main limiter. Because with torque, work, and all that, and strength per se, and we also measured that in muscle oxygen, there was not the issue, that there was a blood supply issue or anything with oxygenation. That's how we could determine which one, central limiter or peripheral. So here I was happy. It's the second time I did this set. First time I died, and I had to go like to 350 or something, but it was still a good set. I knew, even the one before, because 350 watts, I knew it was still a good set because my heart rate was still, for me, very high on the bike, heading towards the 170, which is something I was struggled with in the last years at least, not in the past when I started out. But in the last years, I struggled to get the heart rate up because I thought the legs were too weak to push it up, but it wasn't that. Anyways, here I pushed, there was 380, 390. And the first one was, I think, 400. Yeah, 400. So somewhere in that range. So quite a bit jump, 30, 40 watts more for the week before. So I'm curious how I will do, not tomorrow, the day after. I do the next hard day of that. Yeah, then we had the usual, the next day swim, gym, and threshold. Again, 5 times 5 minutes with 2 minutes easy. There's no correlation between the 5 minutes and threshold and the other one, VO2 max. It's more or less coincidence, not coincidence. The 5 times 5 minutes I have already had before. I got this testing from physiologist. This set ends up being the same set as VO2 max work, but that is from the mentor I work with. There I did, 320, 330, 325 pace for those, something like that, I don't know. Then aerobic day. Let's go a bit quickly. Okay, this is interesting. I also shared it on Instagram a bit. That was my big day here. So I have the big day that is the Ironman specific day. I had a 5-hour bike indoor with 6 times, now I'm changing. I had 2 weeks long Ironman reps at Ironman power, up to 2.5 hours of work. Now I'm going to 70.3 pace power. I write down everything here with what I exactly did here with my gels and everything, so I can kind of make notes, what worked, what didn't. But I was really happy with the nutrition, no issues there with the sodium, with the gut. And I did 6 times 20 minutes at 330 watts. And at that point I was pretty tired already the days before because I did some quality work there. That was challenging. It was a tough one. I didn't film there, but so here you can see again 330 watts per kilogram might be not right. I don't know what my weight is in Training Peaks. It's not so important. But here again 330. Anyways, I did them all at 330. And then into a run, and there I did 2 times 5K. I did that on the track. I was really happy with that because I had a strong aerobic pace. And the first one I did 1820. So that is like a 340 pace. That is not correct here. It's on a track. 340 pace, and then 2 minutes rest only, and then 345 pace. So it's a bit slower, a few seconds. But very happy with that. Like a good aerobic, strong day. What else should I tell you? The day after that, so again, that was the big day. I tried to do what I could with calories on that day to get it in, but obviously you're in a deficit if you train like that. What does it say on calories, by the way? Let's have a look. So this bike ride apparently is 4,700 calories. So that plus another 700. So let's say, that is more like 8,000 calorie day probably. So you're in a bit in deficit there, obviously. So the next day I had the long run, like a 2-hour easy run, 5:12 pace, important low heart rate here, 132 heart rate. It's a bit hilly terrain, up, down. I think was with ice still a little bit. So important that I keep it slow. Then a swim, 10 times 400 with pedals pull boy, just an aerobic swim. Then again, that's quite important, core mobility before the second run. I noticed there a big difference doing that, just activating everything again, because you just tend to, also with the bike the day before, tend to get a bit sluggish. And you want quality running on tired legs. So that's pretty important. Then I had, that was treadmill then. There I felt really good because when I did that the week before, or 2 weeks before, I always alternate with a quality long run. When I did that the week before, there I felt pretty toasty. So 40 minute, 4:27 pace on average. But there what was important was the 5 times 5 minutes at 3:55 pace with 1% incline on a treadmill. So it's a bit like outside running. And really happy, you can have a look here. The first 5 minutes, 145 heart rate, 172 cadence, happy with that. Second one, 146 heart rate average. Third one, 147. Fourth one, 149. Fifth one, 150. So heart rate is still pretty low for running 355 pace off the bike. Of course, at that point, it can also mean that your heart rate is low because your heart is tired from a few days heavier training. But to be honest, I don't think that's the case in this case, because in the past here you see temperature 28 degrees it's cooking hot, right? At that point, I'm boiling. But again, also that got better. I could definitely tell that doing those frequent treadmill sessions, they do help significantly with getting better at, at sweating and also absorbing it. And of course, the fitter you are, the easier. That also comes to the question that Gordon had with the overheating, something I learned from that. We can go into that a bit. Basically, the fitter you are, the better you deal with heat. It's very simple. Not simple, but it is a bit. So, then aerobic day, then I had one more hard day here. The last day of that block was, the main set was 10 times 200 threshold on 250, and then straight into 5 times 400s, and then into, again, with sprints and stuff, so really deleting the arms, 5.6k in total. Again, an aerobic run here. I think that one I did slower. I even wrote here pretty tired system. That was that one. I needed, because normally sometimes I have like 5 or 10 minutes easy warm-up jogging, sometimes just 5, and then I go into aerobic pace, not fast. But there I felt pretty tired, and that's important to listen, right? Because when you really feel energy is really low, you could say, okay, why is energy low? Do you lack calories? Which was pretty much, could have been the case, but also fatigue. So sometimes you just really got to listen when you push, when you not push. Like aerobic run, does it make sense to push? Probably not. Also, I knew I had another strong ride in the evening, so I backed off. Instead of, I just did 15 minutes, super easy. You can see the pace as well. So I did 15 minutes just shuffling along. Here those paces are not always right with treadmill, but like I really ran 5:30, even 6 minutes pace. Normal, it was 5:30 most of it. And then after 15 minutes, I felt good, and then I went to this 3:39 pace. That's pretty accurate actually here when I measured. Not 4:41 it says, it was 4:39. Anyways, that's that. Listen to the body. After 15 minutes, it came around. I drank more, drank some sugar water. And then the last session of the block, the big one, where I almost feel like, to be honest, although I don't want to, but body probably could. I have to see it. I don't want to overcook it. That I could do 5 times 10 minutes, because I did 4 times 10 minutes at 360 watts. So at threshold with 5 minutes easy. So here's the first rep, 360, second rep, 360. And heart rate here, you can see, is getting towards the 160s, which is good. Getting the heart rate up, again, cardiac output being the main reason, again, why I do this threshold extended intervals, because you can do them longer than VO2 max. I do them mainly for stroke volume and cardiac output, right? And I can feel the increases massively. Also, they translate to the other sports. So big progress there. Last one, also 360 watts. Yeah. And then I was happy I did finish that block. And the next day I had off day with Cairo. Helped me a lot. And then, here's some easy days, aerobic days. And here's then the next block of work coming up. Okay. Let's go into some questions here. So first, Joshua. How do you handle overheating when swimming? That's a good one, because I think, again, fitness I already talked about, but one thing that was funny, hey Tommy, one thing that was funny was when I did wetsuit swims even a year ago. I remember, like, when I did for my last half distance there, when was it? Last August or something, and I did 400s and pushed in the pool, and even just 4K like controlled easy, I overheated like hell in the pool, and the temperature is the same, everything's the same. But now, already today, I tested something with a new tri-suit that I got. I will reveal it in a new video. Really happy with that one, worked super good. No issue there with sleeves up. So I practiced basically that if I can swim under the wetsuit with the sleeves up, because even in the last race I had the sleeves down, which, the shoulder liked it a bit more with that old suit I had, but that didn't work with the old suit. I couldn't have sleeves up with the old suit, but with this one it works, because if you fiddle around and put your suit up, you lose almost a minute, really. And it doesn't matter if you're not in super competitive racing, but to be honest, if you're in competitive racing, an age group or whatever, you don't have time to put the suit down. So you have to learn and find ways and find a suit for you, find a tri-suit that you can swim with if it's with wetsuit swim or without, that you can swim with the sleeves up. Really important that you do that, because getting in that thing with wet arms is a nightmare. So you can practice it a bit, but it's difficult. So how do you handle overheating? Yeah, I mean, better fitness for sure helps. That's one. But otherwise, if it's too hot, I mean, pool swimming is one, but if it's normally Ironman races and stuff, they normally don't have that. Then you're normally safe on that front. So I don't know if there are specifically tips for that. You can drink more, but in the end, I don't know. I don't think if you just get too hot, get out and put the wetsuit off. Maybe you can get used to it a little bit, but otherwise, for racing, it's not really, really, really relevant, right? Unless you swim in super hot water. Then what do you think about T100 Miami? Yeah, I watched it a little bit, but not all of it, every now and then. I think the course, I personally didn't find it too exciting, to be honest. I don't know if it was the course or just that they had some issues with the media team there. I don't know what it was, but I don't know, it was just a circuit and they were going in circles. So, I mean, it's cool for the sport, and maybe the other races are going to be more exciting. But I don't know. I thought it was okay, but not something that would get me up in the morning at 6 a.m. How much hours do you think you have to train for a quarter triathlon? So that is, that Olympic sprint. Yeah, per week. Yeah, that's Olympic. Good question. I mean, it depends where you're at, but I can just say, for example, I trained for the full Ironman for 4 years. After my first Ironman, I did an 11 hours flat, and then 4 years later, and I worked full time and all that stuff, I trained 10 hours to 12 hours on average, and I went from 11 hours flat to 9 hours 26 and qualify for Kona on the same course in Ironman Switzerland, hilly bike course. So giving that is meant to be for a full distance. If you train 8 hours a week or 6 hours a week, you should be good, right? I mean, again, what is your plan? Do you want to finish? Do you want to achieve your best? But more important than that is kind of like, where are you physically at? One really good determinator, if you can hold it, is your last year's training. If anything is kind of the same, so let's say your work situation is the same, family life, unless you have suddenly so much more time to recover and relax and all that, then the last year is actually pretty accurate. If you put training peaks up and have a look, what is your average, even with holiday and all that, doesn't matter, what is the average, because body doesn't care if you had a holiday or not, but it cares about the average numbers, average training hours per year, per week. So if you find that number, and then don't go more than 10-15% over that. So let's say last year you did 8 hours on average, and this year you want to up it a little bit, maybe 10, but anything then more than 10 on average, more is probably not going to be in it for you, unless life's changed for you. So that's my 2 cents for that. Then Max asked, hi Matti, would you choose cold Helsinki as your home base and not a warmer region like Girona or so? Was it because of family reasons? I was actually in Girona, maybe one of my first videos. So I did like Girona a lot, for sure. For living as a base, I'm not sure. But what I will 100% next year do is I will not do a winter like this. I can't do a winter like this anymore. All this indoor training, that's not maintainable. So I will have this as a base, because for summer, let's say from May onwards until September, October, Finland is actually a paradise when it comes to triathlon training. Time trialing, absolutely 10 out of 10. You can do hilly, you can do flat, cars, super safe, no space, lots of space for anybody. Running, endless trails, not on tarmac, really important for running. I could do 300 kilometers a week here if I wanted to on gravel, super important for running. And swimming, I can do open water swimming. I have perfect 50-meter pools all around the corner, not just the one I'm around the corner here. They're everywhere, also outdoor pools, 50-meter. They have, I can do lake swims, I can do ocean swims. So from that perspective, it's perfect. But in wintertime, obviously not perfect, to say the least. But what I will do in the future is I'll make camps, I think, like that. So like over the tough winter times, I don't know how long, but depends a bit on finances, and also if my wife can come with, right? That's another one, because you can do, let's say, camp somewhere, but also doing a camp somewhere, you have to know the price of that. So first, you need the travel days. That's one. Another one is your diet changes, sleep might change. There's a lot of ifs, right? And then you're suddenly riding on Spanish roads. You don't know the traffic, and you suddenly, because it's sunny, ride instead of 1 time a week, you ride 6 times a week outdoors. Before you know, you fall over, you break your clavicle, boom, or worse, and then consistency gone. So it's not all rosy. For the mind, sunshine, obviously beautiful. For raw training, for raw power and optimal progress in training, yeah, what I did this winter was optimal. There's no doubt about that. But is that, for 10 years straight maintainable, what I did there? Whew, it's going to be tough. But I will see now what results. I saw what results that gave me in training, what I did there, which are good. So, yeah, again, those are the two things. But I wouldn't move to Spain or anything like that full time. No, I don't think so. Maybe at some point for a few months to Boulder, Colorado. That's a bit of a secret dream of mine. I want to see that place, maybe for 3 months or something. We'll see. We'll see what the future brings. But at this point, no. Then Maria asked, who's your favorite triathlete of all time and one who is now active and why? My favorite triathlete of all time, no doubt, Craig Alexander. No doubt whatsoever. From not just the physical perspective, but also the mental side. That has both. If you listen to any interviews of him, and just the whole story of him inspires me. It's he has a lot of things that, the sport doesn't have so much anymore. I mean, with Frodo and Kienle, those two characters, they were kind of the last of this breed. The new generations, I don't know, they don't have this it factor, I feel, at least. I don't know, you can tell me wrong, but who has this kind of similar thing as Kienle and Frodeno, or like Craig Alexander, like these really characters of the sport that kind of elevate the sport. At this point, we have good performances, but not so many of those. But I hope they come, and maybe I can do my best to also be one of those then. Max asked, would you suggest in an easy day one fat max session of 1 hour at 68% FTP or 1 hour bike to the swim arena? Your easy day, of course, it depends a lot how tired you are, what's going on, but easy means easy. So if it's meant to be a day that you really recuperate, like mentally, physically, fat max can still be, depending where your fat max is, it can be still zone 2. And again, it depends what is your weakness and what should you work on. Is a bike the best idea or is an easy run the best idea? So it's a lot of ifs, right? But it really depends. It's really impossible to answer that one for you. But you have to look at what again, if you work full time, if you train 10, 11, 12 hours, every single hour of that training has to have a clear purpose and not just a filler. Super important, right? Also with the athlete I coach, I try to really think about every single session or minute that they spend on training has to yield results, has to go towards a bigger picture. If it doesn't, it's just like, I don't know, then you're wasting your time a bit. So I would think like that. So is that session making you better? Because it might be an easy day and let's say, hey, fat max is really specific and that's something you can almost never have enough of. Sounds really specific and accurate and it's not going to kill you because it's aerobic training and 1 hour of it, it's still good training. So that's that on that front. I think we're already heading here towards the end. If you got any other questions, let me know. But I think I went through it all. What else? We got 18th of March now, so we have one more block of training coming, one more 10-day block, and then we have a tape. We can have a look at it together. Wait. Alrighty, so one more proper block of training with some interesting stuff in there. Again, very similar to what I just did, except the threshold reps will be longer. And then the rest I still have to plan. But then here on the 28th starts a taper block. So what's really important is on the 2nd of April I fly to the US, so that the 2 days before that is going to be aerobic training, right? So because you want your immune system to be as humanly strong for that flight as possible, because no matter what you do with mask and everything, it's a massive stress for the body, right? So like the time zone, 9 hours change or whatever, I'm gonna try to adjust already 5, 6, 7 days before, a bit with the sleep, right? What I can, because obviously it's not 100% optimal to fly on the 2nd, 2nd of April, Tuesday of a race week, you fly there, and on Saturday's the race. But the reason why I did this is, first, it's Easter, so flights are crazy during that time, and secondly, I'm 4 weeks in the US already, so between 4 and 5 weeks is again a big difference. So I think it's gonna be fine, gonna be good, and yeah, then I can finally ride outside. So that's definitely not optimal, right? But it's gonna be fine. I'm a good bike handler. I rode the Swiss mountains for years. So, but yeah, when I arrive there, I'm gonna be cycling every single day. Be sure of that, to get the bike handling right and everything. Luckily, it's racing in the US. If it would be a race in Nice, obviously that setup would never work. I would have to fly there a few weeks before to get the course. But I know it's US roads. There's one steep hill after 60K, but it's uphill. But again, downhill, it's US roads. It's not technical per se, right? And you can ride most of the course anyways, because it's closed off the road. So even if I would be there before, I couldn't ride the course anyways. So most people in Oceanside, what I heard, ride this bike path back and forth, and that's not technical anyway. So I don't know how much technical training I can get in, but yeah, power will be good, I think. So then Tommy asked, will you continue the videos while being in the US? Yes, 100%. Will do my absolute best. I already thought how I can, make it more efficient. That I, for example, make the intro, the US intro, because YouTube lives and dies with the first 30 seconds. If you don't do those well, nobody watches the videos, so it doesn't matter what you do. So yeah, that I prepare some things to make it as least time efficient as possible, and maybe when I'm there, people can film me a little bit, but otherwise I do my best on my own. But maybe the hosts, if they have time, or some of the family, they feel like filming me for 10 minutes, then it's good. If not, then I'll make it on my own. So then Fred asked, how fast do you plan to run the marathon in your Ironman? I mean, I know what I'm training for. I'm training for 3:55 pace, which is 2:45. But I mean, it's hard to say unless you do it right. That's the thing. Even, let's say, the Dan Orangs, who coach Jan Frodeno, even he has no clue what Jan is actually going to do in the race. So to say, I'm going to run this. I mean, I've done 14 Ironmans. I know exactly how things are. It depends a bit on, you do your best in training, but do the full Ironman swim, the full bike, hopefully get all nutrition, everything that works well as usual as it does. And then, I know how it's supposed to feel in the first 10K of the run. If I already feel like I have to force the pace in the first 10K, then I know it's not maintainable. So Ironman is a patience game, right? And I think that's where, and I hope I can show this, I trained for this now well, I'm going to be the patient one in the tracker, right? Because you know how it is. I mean, I've seen it many times in the age group ranks already each time, and then even for half distances, they fell over. Like with the pros, you see it every time. Look at the tracker. The trackers each time, everybody has 10, 15K of really fast running, even for the half distance. They have like 10K of good running in them, and then they crash and burn. But luckily for half distance, they get away with it sometimes because it's short enough that after 15K they blow up, and it's just enough to kind of slog home a few minutes slower. But if that happens in the full, you're gone with, right? So 42 kilometers of running, not 25, not even 30, not 32, 42. So that's a really long day. So to run that strong, you have to be really patient and conservative and nail your nutrition for the first 25K. And then you cut. After 25K, then you can start being a hero. Then you got to dig deep. From then on, 25 to 30, 42, it's mental. I don't believe it's physical anymore. Of course, a little bit, but I would say at that point, it's 80, 90% mental. Are you willing to go to that pain, to that kind of discomfort? Are you trained mentally to go to that pain? And of course, did you nail your nutrition and hydration, or are you cramping or anything like that? And of course, the heat is a factor, right? I'm luckily training now 3 weeks before in Texas, so that should be as good as it can be, right? And I have some tricks with cooling that I'm going to do. And yeah, but then in the end, the race will show, right? I'm prepared to the best of my ability, and I'm pretty confident that it will go well. But it's Ironman. It's a 8 whatever hours event. It's a cookie jar. You don't know what you're gonna get. So, but yeah, I will for sure document everything. And yeah, good. Mika asked, VLMX, what is that measured in? Have a look at Inside VLMX. I can send you a link as well. There's everything about that. But yeah, you have to do that with lactate. If you don't measure lactate, you're not going to get it. VLMX is a concentration of your blood lactate and stuff like that. But that theory actually, yeah, that doesn't matter. But all right, I think we're going to be checking out unless you got any more questions. Alrighty, I think that's going to be it. Tomorrow I'm on my aerobic day and then the hard sessions. Last thing I want to share, but we have to keep it a bit of a secret. I had a bit of a breakthrough. I don't want to hype it too much because I'm going to jinx it. But just to swim mechanics, the last one. Maybe you saw it in some videos. What got me as a non-swimming background, now good times for 50 and 100 meter. Not all out, but like VO2 max paces. For example, I got myself to 30 seconds, 50 meter long course pool pace repeatedly, 30, 31. I can do that repeatedly on 1 minute. And even hundreds, I can do it 105, 106, like really fast paces, let's say. But my threshold, I struggled. I could then, on one hand, I could do 120, 122. I could do 3K of that and hold that because I had a stroke pattern for it. But threshold, I did not have a clean stroke pattern with it. And it should have come to me before that, hey, whatever pattern you have that works and gets you to feel the water, to grab and obviously create good pace for those fast 50s and 100s, maybe that pattern also works for the other rhythms. And I think I tried that before. It's kind of this loping style. It's a bit like this. It's a bit of a dance kind of. And that style, I found a way now. I just said this. I found a way to put this into threshold rhythm, and basically every rhythm, every stroke I do now is that rhythm. So I found some new tactics and some things that I do with, for example, neoprene pants and pedal. It's kind of like, because it's a neuromuscular sport first and foremost, so I can practice it also at easy swimming. And then the other day I did on short course meters just to try it on my easy day. I just wanted to see, hey, what happens if I just do it, this effort like at a bit quicker cadence, but like maintainable and much easier breathing effort than what I did before. And there I did short course meters, 100 meter, just pushed a little bit, but like really controlled, like something I could do at that day for 800 meters, I'm sure of it. And I did 100 of that. And after 50 meters, already felt I was getting a bit sloppy. I could feel like, because of course it takes time to get this rhythm in me, probably not going to be perfectly in me until to Oceanside. It's probably going to take 3-6 months to really nail this rhythm at these paces. But yeah, I felt like the second 50 already got slower and it was still 110. So for 110, I had to work a lot harder before. Trust me that. And maintainable and breathing down. So yep, I'm excited for that one. So I felt like I won the lottery on that side. So. But yeah, I can make some videos on that eventually, but I got lots. That's kind of my secret lottery win, to be honest. So I'm excited for that one to practice that now. So I'm more excited for swimming than ever. If I didn't have a rave coming up, I would just train 100K swimming a week and nail that rhythm. But no, not like that. But yeah, it's fun. Good. Hey, I'm going to be checking out. I hope you guys are well, and I see you in the next video. Bye-bye.